You're listening to Big Blend Radio's Music Monday show with Lisa and Nancy, and you just heard Souls of the Innocent, the title track to the new album. It is by Jack Starr and his band Burning Starr, and that's 2 R's in Starr because they're badass. The album is out on July 15th, 2022. Listen, you're going to have 2 T's and 2 R's, it's one of those things. It is out on Global Rock Records. So, again, the new album is Souls of the Innocent by Jack Starr and his band Burning Starr, out July 15th, 2022 through Global Rock Records. Go to globalrockrecords.com. Also, keep up with Jack Starr on Facebook, Jack Starr's Burning Starr. So, welcome to the show, Jack. It is super cool to have you. How are you?
I'm doing good. That was great, Lisa. I really appreciate it, and I'm really happy to be on your show and getting a chance to talk about the new album.
Title track, Souls of the Innocent. Did you write it to be like an anthem? Because when you listen to it, you just really... I'm trying to sit down and be polite and everything, and then I just want to, if you could see right now, how we record, because Nancy and I travel full time, and so, where I am right now, I'm if I even move, everything will fall down, because of how everything is set up, but, I'm just saying, really, that's one of those songs, and you just want to, it should be the intro to a movie, an epic movie. It's epic. It's an epic song, and it is an epic album, so I feel like it should be this anthem that just we need anthems right now to feel a little bit stronger.
Yeah, and I think you use the word epic, and that actually describes a style of heavy metal. They call it epic metal, and then some people call it power metal. But basically, it's a style within heavy metal that my first band, Virgin Steele, we were kind of pioneers in that style. There was really a handful of bands in 1981 doing that style of music, and we were one of them, and we kind of pioneered that whole genre of metal.
Yeah.
Within the genre of metal.
Because it has this power, we're going and we're pushing you further and pushing you further, but then your guitar comes in and gives us this, okay, we can sail a little. Does that make sense? You can kind of bend into things and gives us that break that humans need. And then we're okay, now we're going to go forward again. Yeah,
I could hear that song I don't know, I could hear it definitely in a movie. I could see people marching to it. I could see airplanes taking off. Yeah, So I think it is, anthemic, and I'm really happy that you like it. I co-wrote that song with the bass player in my band, Ned Meloni.
Oh, yeah.
And Ned really came up with the concept, and of course, and the title, Souls of the Innocent. So I was really curious, what is this all about, And he was kind of referencing, that tragic day that happened in Las Vegas where a lot of innocent people were killed by a sniper.
That's
as they
horrible.
were doing something really peaceful, like going to see a concert. So it was very tragic, and it affected all of us. And because, that's what we do. We play music, and we don't want to think that people coming to see us play could be, shot and killed for doing something as innocent and benign as going to see some music, So that was the kind of thought behind that particular song.
When you think about, it's the whole album title, right? So and when the album, to me, I love it. I really love my job, right? It's my job. It's my thing. It's our business, Nancy and I, and it's when you get new music in, and I gotta thank all the promoters that send stuff over our way, because I'm one of those stop everything, there's new music, and then it's and if it sucks, it's oh no, but really I think we work with good people. It doesn't, and when you get new albums, and it's even if it's not your thing, and because you know how to listen, it's this is some cool stuff going on, this. People need music right now so bad, and what you're saying about Las Vegas, I think what so sucks We had those.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the shootings haven't ended. Hopefully, bills will pass and things. But, well, some are, whatever. I don't even, today that we're recording on, I don't even want to talk about politics or bills or anything.
No, I avoid politics.
No, we want the music because that's it. It doesn't actually matter who you are, what you believe in, and whether your side won or not. Music is what we all need to unite through and feel good about. And I just think when Vegas happened, and then you got to think about Orlando and the Pulse Club and all those shootings happening in places where people are like letting off steam that they need. They work hard. They're, then we go through COVID, and then it's like no live music, and musicians are like, what the hell? And, fans are like, what the hell? And then we had a lot of stop and starts, and we're still going through that. I know a lot of musicians are out there thinking, oh, we're there. Are you going to tour with this? Because we need this. We need to keep going.
I'm pretty sure
we
will. I think the plans are definitely to tour in 2023 and possibly also at the end of this year. But really, it has also to do with, how well the album does. And I think every album kind of creates its own pathway. And if it gets accepted and does really well, then it'll dictate to us, like what kind of tour, how long the tour, and also where we're going to tour, because primarily, our band has actually been more popular in Europe. And now I notice with this new label, Global Rock, they seem to be very interested in publicity in America and in making this album, well known in America. So I think their plan is to really get us out there playing in America, which is great for us because then we don't have to travel, 10,000 miles or 5,000 miles,
Yeah, it's so weird. We have musicians from overseas come on our show and musicians here, and it seems like if you're in Europe, you have to come here. If you're here, you have to go to Europe. And it's like, I wonder if COVID kind of evened that out, like, get over it. We can all like music. Like, why do you have to go here for someone in this? It's like, oh, they went over to Europe, so now we're going to like them. Like,
right, exactly. I don't think that. I think those are all like, man-made barriers. And I think there's a universality in music, and it overcomes all borders and all countries. And, so far, we've been lucky that we've had a lot of acceptance in countries that we would have never thought of as even liking heavy metal. We're actually very popular in Greece. So it's kind of, it took us by surprise, but we went there a couple of times, and it's a beautiful country. The people are wonderful, and the food is great. And it's a country that totally, is so dominated by history. There's history on every corner. And it's really beautiful. And we're also popular in Italy and Greece. And we're popular in Greece, Italy, and Germany. And Germany, Italy, and Greece. And those are the three countries that like us.
So would you go and perform at the Acropolis or something? Like, wouldn't that be cool? Like, to do a full-on show there?
That would be really good. And that's when we visited, the Acropolis, or when we were in Athens, it definitely crossed our minds. So it's like, wouldn't it be cool to be right there, the same place where, the ancient Romans, had their spectacles and whatever.
To me, wouldn't it be? To me, there's this thing about the Rock of Gibraltar. Like, I don't know if it was a Bob Dylan thing. They always sang about it. I just want to go there. I want to go there, and I just would love to see like a full-on rock concert. And I think there's such a power in when you think about like Italy and Roman times. You look at the Scots, the Vikings. This was music that, I mean, you listen to Scottish music. There's a nice, pretty kind of stuff, but you look at the Scottish dancing, the Irish dancing. That was all soldier training. All of those steps were all about training for being able to go to battle and being able to, like the caber toss is about being able to toss the big log over so you could walk on or tippy-toe over some like a log to get to your next destination as a soldier. And so when you listen to that music, and then there's a heavy, like, we're going to kick your ass music, and that's why I think heavy metal, there's a band called Tempest that kind of brings metal into Celtic fusion stuff. Like, it's wild. And I kind of think that about metal, that it's about, like, screw you, man, to the man, you know.
I think you've got a good point there, really, because, like, metal, the good metal should make people feel proud and courageous and give them the feeling almost of like an ancient warrior and being part of something great, you know, and have a majestic side to it, you know. And that's what we try to do in our music, like in Souls of the Innocent, you know. We really wanted to capture that feeling, you know, like what you mentioned before about, you know, it sounded like anthemic, you know, and it had that anthem quality. And that's what we try to do with the music. Even like, I would say like every song on the album, like, you know, like Ships in the Night, the song that you mentioned earlier, that kind of, that kind of sailing, you know, like sailing to new lands, you know, like the Vikings or the explorers that came to the New World. You know, it's just got that feeling. And my God, how difficult it must have been to sail oceans in these little wooden ships, you know, and the courage that it took. Incredible
you just said
courage.
Wooden ships. Now think about Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, right? Here comes wooden ships.
Right.
La, la, la. And then here
that
comes
was a good
yours.
song too.
Like, yours is more realistic. I don't know what's been going on lately. We've been doing interviews on mutinies aboard, you know, mutinies on the ships. Like the coast, like the East Coast. I know you're in Florida, right? So, like when you go up and then go to North Carolina and up to Virginia, all that coastline has got some crazy shipwreck stories, all connected to mutinies. And we've done some crazy, like, our history is only now catching up to what happened, you know, just with using like genetics and DNA stuff. I don't know how they're DNA testing things, but they are. And they're doing all this stuff, and we're finding these documents we didn't have, like, even 20 years ago. And they just found another ship in England, in Yarmouth, that just they just found one from the 1600s, and the wine is still preserved. Like, excuse me, that is good. That's some good stuff right there. So, like,
talk about vintage wine, you know.
I'm gonna have to play this song on every mutiny show that we do from now on in Ship Show, because we're going to be doing one on ships soon, Ships in the Night. But I wanted to touch on that because, number one, it's a really good song, but Ned Meloni is on bass, right? So I want to give a shout out to everybody in the band, because Rhino on the drums, are you, like, what the hell? That dude's some crazy stuff, man.
He's a phenomenal drummer. He was in an iconic band from the 1980s called Manowar. I don't know if that rings a bell. And he was in that band. And then the singer, we found this new singer, Alexx Panza, who's like 29 years old.
Yeah, he's young looking. I'm like, wow.
Yeah, he's a young guy. We're all old enough to be his father. But that's cool because we're not his father. We just like the way he sings, and we kind of discovered him like 2 years ago. We did these massive lead singer auditions, and we knew what we wanted. We wanted a specific thing. We wanted a guy with a very powerful voice, a high range, and an ability to sing with passion. You know, we didn't want someone phoning it in. We wanted someone that really was interpreting the lyrics with passion and energy. And we found our guy, and so we're pretty happy with the vocal performance that he turned in.
Man, his notes, I mean, he goes up there. Like, it's crazy. And it's crazy. For you, what led you to go, I'm going in this direction musically? Because I know you play the blues, too. I know, like, just you listen, and I think that's part of this beauty of what you bring to the band. And I mean, that your guitar playing, it's like, yes, it's heavy metal, and yeah, we're epic, we're power metal, but there's this. It's kind of interesting because normally the drummer kind of brings everybody in that way, and obviously Rhino does. But there's this thing that you do with guitar that is melodic.
Mm-hmm. And I think that you hit it on the head. It comes really from being influenced by the blues, especially when I started out, and because the blues teaches you phrasing. By that I mean it's like the human voice has phrasing. When you're singing, you can't just go on and sing a line. You have to stop, pause for breath. Unfortunately, a lot of guitar players don't phrase like that. They just go on and they kind of like just go on forever. You know, like the solos just go and just keeps going. So what I try to do with my guitar playing is I try to phrase similar to what a human voice would do.
That's why I connect with it. I love that because it's true. Nancy and I call it haywire. We used to print our magazine in Vegas back in the days when we were printing, right? Old school, copy and paste. People look it up. There is such a thing as not copy and paste, but like paste up and typesetting. That's actually a thing from way back when. And we used to print in Vegas. And in between press checks, what do you think we did? Well, you know, around the corner. And there's the adult store, and then there's the casino, and you sit there, have a couple cocktails, and hope you aren't seeing double when you go do your press check. But anyway, but you sit on those little penny machines and stuff, just waiting it out, you know. And there was this old school game called Haywire, and I always said it sounded like Guns N' Roses. Like there's a certain clip of music that plays when people win, so we call it Haywire. But it wasn't ever coming back. It just kind of just went off and on and on. Like you lost the melody at this point. You've lost this all. And I'm not saying Guns N' Roses did anything like that, but I'm just saying Slash is a badass. But this thing just went so dingy. And we always call that when you'll listen to music, you're all into it, and then it doesn't. Like you can do with jazz, but it just doesn't come home. And
no, it goes
Mama
off the
wants
cliff.
her children to come home. You know.
Right. You know, it's called having closure, and I think musical phrases should have a beginning and an end. It's like if you take, like, let's say the riff to Layla. You know, it's okay, that's the end of the phrase. Then he repeats it again. It's not. You know, there's a beginning and an end to it. And when I play guitar, I try to. Well, I don't even try at this point. It just comes naturally. But I play with phrasing, and my riffs have beginnings and ends, and that's just the way I play.
You let us breathe.
Thank you.
You let us breathe, and I always look for that. Well, you shouldn't look for it in music. If you're looking for it when you're listening, then it's already shit, right? Yeah. And so listening to the album, I don't have to. I'm like, okay, but at the same time, and I think that's very interesting about power metal, epic metal, whatever we want to call it, is that you've got to get us up out of our chairs. Like, we've got to be up, going. It's epic. We're up. We're ready. We're going. Yeah. But it's like you can't over-push that. Where do you bring
it kind of makes you want to stand up and pound your fist and just really get into it. And that's the feeling that, you know, anthems kind of give you, and just this whole majestic, you know, sound with melodies that are stirring. And there was an English reviewer that used that word, stirring. And I thought that, wow, that's such a cool way to describe what we do. It's
I like that.
It's stirring, you know. It's almost like a call to arms in a way, and it's like wake up. This is your life, you know. This is life.
Yeah, it's a pot and pan, you know. And that's the other thing about metal. I remember when I was a kid, you know, in the 80s, we moved from Kenya to England, and it was like the punk era was like badass at that time. Everyone was pierced, mohawked, and I mean, I came literally out of the bush of Africa with tribes doing it this way, and then go to England and going, white people are doing this now? So it was cool. Then I was listening to the music, and I'm like, ooh, this is some cool stuff, you know? And I remember Sid Vicious was on everything. Like, Sex Pistols were reigning everything, you know, just that era. But I remember punk being like, people didn't know what to do with, like the elder people didn't know what to do with it. And then we had heavy metal, like there. It was started.
Yeah.
It was there. And it was like that's, and then when we lived in South Africa right after, so it was like real quick in England, then to South Africa, very religious kind of place at the time, if you're talking about the white people. Everyone's different, so I know I'm getting calls later. But it was like,
well,
it's all
good.
They thought it was evil. Heavy metal was like evil music. Like, and then, like why?
Yeah.
You want to rile up. Doesn't mean
and some people still think that, but it really, obviously it's not. I mean, it's just music like every other music. And especially the music that we do, if anything, we've been like interpreted as being actually a Christian rock band. We're not, but the music has morals.
That's funny.
And,
yeah.
And the lyrics have morals, and we're not encouraging anything like, take drugs, party, or, love Satan or any nonsense like that. We're about do good, be a good person, live on earth and help your fellow man, and listen to music and be creative and, good things.
Yeah, and stand up and be human.
And be human. Yes.
Live.
And have compassion. And you have to have compassion because not everyone, gets to enjoy a great life. A lot of people really have it bad, and we need to understand them and reach out to them, and that's what we try to do with our music. Everybody in the band is basically a good person. The drummer in the band, Rhino, is a Christian. He's very religious, and he is very concerned about things like, lyrics, not encouraging anything negative, and that's a good thing. And I respect his views, and all of us who maybe are not as religious as Rhino, but we all basically feel the same,
It's a balance. That's good to have someone there that creates that balance, though, right?
Exactly. Absolutely, and that's what we really tried to do with this album, and I think that a lot of people that are starting to hear it, it's only really been out a week, and it's not even out, it's just the advance copy has been floating around a week. So the reaction we're getting is like, I think a lot of people are kind of surprised by it in a way because it's basic and yet it's not basic. It's kind of like the Chinese adage about there being complexity and simplicity. It's deceptively simple, but it's actually complex.
But that is exactly what makes a beautiful meal, what makes a beautiful wine, what makes beautiful music. You, as a listener or a diner or a sipper, right? Or taster, whatever you want to call it, you don't want it to be so complex that you're not enjoying it anymore. So, but you want that little hint of that so that it leads you back again, right?
Exactly. And that's what we try to do. And that's, really what, I mean, we recorded this album during the height of COVID. We started in 2019. We just really finished it like 6 months ago. And we just persevered. And it was kind of a little bit of a frightening era and a time to do this because, people were afraid to actually get together and be in the same room. And, they were afraid to, that they could give each other this horrible, virus that was going around, that it probably is still going around. But it was something that, we decided that making this music was very important to us. And we didn't want to let fear rule our lives. And I'm not saying that we were encouraging each other or whoever to put aside any safeguards, because we were, at the same time, we were very safety conscious, and we weren't, hugging each other and sweating on each other. We were maintaining, a distance, but we knew that we still wanted to get stuff done.
I love that. You've got to keep moving. You can't, it's just a weird thing with the whole COVID. You can't die. You can't just, that's it, we're closed for life, because no one can keep moving if we did that, right? We wouldn't have food. We wouldn't have,
Right.
there's a point, no matter what, you have to step outside and breathe the
Exactly.
fresh air. So I
It's
think
like,
that's a perfect segue to Ships in the Night, because it's kind
let's
of
do it.
how it feels, right? Like Ships in the Night is how it feels going out. Oh, we can go
It is.
outside now, right? So
Exactly.
let's play
And
this,
I think,
and then go ahead.
Go right ahead. Yeah, absolutely.
And then I want to tell everybody about the story about getting this recorded. So here it is, everyone, Ships in the Night, and enjoy it, and we'll bring Jack on in a little bit.
We're
I'm sorry, but I have to use the word epic once again. Everyone, Ships in the Night from the new album, Souls of the Innocent, and that is Jack Starr and his awesome band. You've got to go get it. This band, Burning Starr, and that star with 2 R's, because, like, you can't just be 1 star. You got to have double. So go to globalrockrecords.com. The album comes out July 15th, 2022. Keep up with Jack Starr and Burning Starr on Facebook. Just go to Jack Starr's Burning Starr. Jack Starr, and it's all about double R's. So
it really
Jack,
is. That's the whole secret.
Jack,
you know.
Seriously, okay. So I want to talk about doubling. This sounds weird.
Yeah.
That song is epic. It is. Like, everybody just has to go get the album, and you'll know what I mean. But that song is, and I love that song.
Yeah.
And
it
your
really
guitar
is.
sounds. Are you playing? What are you doing in the guitar that sounds like there's 2 guitars? You know what I mean?
There is 2 guitars. What I did is I played the guitar solo, and then it got harmonized with another guitar player who's the producer of the album, co-producer, Kevin Burns. He did a harmony solo on top of my original solo, and we blended the 2 together. So it has kind of like a Queen sound, the band Queen.
Yeah,
when they do that, they kind of orchestrate the guitars.
That's exactly
so we did that
right.
as well. But, that song really is just a really great thing that Ned Meloni, the bass player, came up with. And it's his baby. And, I can't say enough good things about Ned, besides, the fact that he's a great arranger, a great songwriter, a great bass player. He also has the best hair in rock and roll.
I was actually going to say that at the beginning of the show when I introduced it. I wanted to say about his hair, but I think there's something about bass players, and I've said this on the show a million times, so sorry, listeners. But I wonder about that because bass, if you overdo a bass, you have now screwed simplicity in a place that simplicity doesn't want. And I think that is something beautiful about bass players who write music, that they manage to have that bass thing, and then it's kind of like laying it is the foundation, right? The bass and the drums, foundation, and then don't screw it up when you build it, right?
Yeah, exactly. All musicians have like a little bit of ego, but I'll tell you honestly, like Ned is just like one of these guys that you kind of want to be like him because he's really a good guy, and he's a family man. He works hard. He comes prepared to recording sessions. He knows his stuff, and he doesn't try to impress you or elicit compliments. Like some people, they're always like fishing for compliments. He's not like that at all. He's like, in my next lifetime, I think I want to be like Ned. I definitely want his hair.
I want to write his music, and I
too.
want his hair. My hair needs help. So I haven't cut my hair since COVID started. So, actually, that's not true. I did cut it. Nancy had to fix it because I decided to cut it off, and that wasn't good. My mommy had to come to the rescue because I put it in a ponytail and went, I'm going to cut it. And I cut it in the wrong end. And that's what's called too much wine, everybody. Scissors and wine and hair, do not do it. Do not.
Yes.
But if you have a good mom, it's okay. But okay, so Ships in the Night is awesome. I want to talk about Where Eagles Fly. We're not going to play it, but I want to talk about that song too.
Okay.
Because the way it starts and then all of a sudden it changes into this whole other place. Like, tell us about that song. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. It's kind of weird because the melody for that song, which I came up with, sounds very 1960-ish, that. It's just got a 60s vibe to it, but then we kind of took maybe a melody that sounds a little familiar, and then we updated it, and we put this kind of galloping rhythm section behind it, and we came up with these lyrics, which is basically another song about freedom and redemption, and people always having this desire for freedom, And a couple of years ago, when we were getting bombarded on television and people were saying, well, welcome to the new norm. This is the new norm.
Yeah.
And every 5 minutes, somebody was spouting that ridiculous saying on television. Well, it wasn't the new norm. It was just an abnormality and something that needed to be overcome or overcame.
Yeah.
But anyway, and so it wasn't the new norm. And where eagles fly is basically we're telling people, you too can fly like an eagle. You too can be free. You too can break out of whatever mundane existence you're in or whatever prison that you might be in. And mainly, usually people are in prisons of their own device. It's not even a physical prison, it's some kind of limitation that they imposed on themselves. So we're saying that in the song. It's like, break out of it, be like the eagle, and the lyrics kind of tell the story pretty well.
Yeah, it does. I think, to me, it was a beautiful song. And, when Nance and I mean, we traveled to parks and film. We've just been filming bald eagles lately and stuff, and you go like, they're even vultures and buzzards, and you look up, and of course I see eagle on there, and I'm like, I kind of skipped through to the record because like when I first got it, I'm like, I got to hear the eagle song because there's something just when you see eagles and you hear the cry of a bald eagle, like holy crap, man, it's like it's real.
Incredible.
It's like it is. I mean, I grew up in Africa and I've lived with lions going, real, like I literally lived in the bushes. I was a real young kid, then city stuff later. But honestly, the wildlife, and I think this is the thing about music that just draws me in. Musicians bring back that wild spirit that we need to remember as we play Civilization.
Especially, when times get a little crazy and when we feel hope is lost and hope is fleeting, we need people to remind us, no, it doesn't have to be like that. The pervasive negativity that was around, several years ago is not the new norm. It doesn't have to be like that. We can return to a simpler, more honest kind of existence. And I think I see that happening,
I love that you say that, especially coming from heavy metal, because again, like I said, like I grew up where people are like, it's the devil. And I'm like, no, actually, if you don't feel, people will start hitting things instead of feeling them out. You need to feel it out. Music allows you to feel something out. If you don't know how to handle something, put music on. If when I'm stuck on writing an article, put some music on, and then all of a sudden I'm like, oh yeah, I can write this.
And not only put the music on, but also realize our smallness in the universe. The things that really are so important to us and that we obsess about really are not that important. In the next 20, 30 years, mankind will communicate with other aliens. That's
cool.
coming.
I love that you just. Oh, dude, are you serious? Are you serious? You're gonna bring that up on this show? Seriously, we have another show. You got to come on for this.
All right.
Seriously,
absolutely.
I'm all into it. We're into it. But it's true. If we don't think if we think we're the only beings, grow up. I'm just saying.
Absolutely.
Grow up.
You know what? That is the impossibility. Not meeting other civilizations from other galaxies and other universes.
Come on.
The impossibility is that we would be alone in all these universes, because I believe in the multi-universe theory. We don't even have one universe. There's a multitude of universes. So, and it's impossible to think that only on this little blue planet in the middle of nowhere is there an intelligent life form. And of course, that's debatable also, how intelligent we are.
But that also gets rid of the dictatorship kind of mentality. See, I think that
Right.
if you don't understand nature,
Right.
you don't understand people, because people are nature,
Yeah.
right? We're part of it. And
Yeah.
nature, it means understanding the solar system and understanding that the world is round, people. Please. If we do
Right.
not have ice balls, that doesn't even make sense, right? It just,
Yeah.
like, weird. I think that is a whole big tension-grabbing spoof of stupidity. But when you think about it, look at music. Music comes from nature. Music, the woodpecker, is like the symbol of the song, the mockingbird, right?
Yeah.
All of it.
And music is primal, and we're primal, and and therefore music is the essence of humanity. It's one of the noblest things that we do, and it's what makes us really human, because anybody can replicate a lot of the human functions and human brain waves and all kinds of things like that, but it's very hard to replicate the desire to be creative and the ability to be creative. That's what separates us, from machines.
Creativity. Yeah, we can have AI. It's about how we use it, right? Like Carmen said. Here, you have AI. Okay, so AI is supposed to do the mundane things so we can actually create and use our other sensibilities. Everybody's scared of AI, but artificial intelligence, yes, it's called artificial. It's replicating stuff so human beings don't have to work in coal mines anymore, right? Let's think about that. Do we really want to breathe in that dust when we can have machines do it? Or do we want to be able to use our minds to the creative powers that we have? I would like to say creativity all day long.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, and that's what we're trying to do with the new album, and that's what.
And listen, we're gonna play. Okay, we're gonna close with a song, but before we go, we're gonna close with "Demons Behind Me." That's your new single coming out, so we're gonna close with that, and a new video coming out. We're gonna close with that, but Global Rock Records, from what I'm understanding, that they're re-releasing your archive, your backlog of music, right?
Yeah, and it's something that really surprised me in a good way, because they didn't just want to go for the quick buck. Let's put out an album and we'll sell to Burning Starr's devoted cult following, because we have a big worldwide cult following, and we'll make a quick buck on that, and that'll be that. They're in it for the long haul. They want to really get the music of Burning Starr, and even the music that some of the music that I did even before Burning Starr, and they want to get it out there so that people can really go back and see the whole progression, of this particular genre of music that I've been creating, and especially the last 5 albums that I've done with Ned Meloni, who we came back to. We started working together again after we were working together in the 1980s. So it was a wonderful thing that we got back together after about 15 years, and we got together in Florida. I went to visit him in Florida so we could record an album in a studio out here, and we hit it off, and it was just like, I need to move to Florida so that I can be near Ned and we can put this band together again.
Literally,
and start being creative again.
Band. I love this. Yeah. That's
and
awesome.
We put it together again, and because New York was difficult for me, because it was just so expensive, the taxes, the home heating, fuel, and all this other stuff.
Like
and
California.
Then when I came to Florida, like California, and then when I came to Florida, I realized, hey, I could buy my own house here, and I could live and not be under the gun all the time and have to worry about how am I going to pay my taxes, how am I going to pay for heating oil, and and all this other stuff, and be constantly cold. And so I made this decision about 18 years ago. I moved to Florida, and it's been a very productive time for me, and especially all the work that I've done with Ned, and we've really partnered into creating this band, Burning Starr. And then 10 years ago, we were able to get Rhino on drums. So the picture was complete. You know, we had a really great band, and we were blessed with a great singer for 3 albums, Todd Michael Hall. He actually was a contestant on The Voice, the television show. Wow. And then he's now in a band called Riot, which is one of the original 80s metal bands. And he was great, and it was really hard to fill his shoes, you know, because he left to pursue his solo career and also to sing with Riot. So we were like, how the heck are we going to find somebody to fill his shoes, because he was so incredible. And it took us 2 years, and we found someone that we felt would do a good job, and that was Alexx Panza. And but that's pretty much been the story, you know. It's this struggle to be creative, and it's like, you know, some people struggle to live and struggle to put food on the table and struggle to survive, maybe for health problems or whatever. All those struggles are very, very valid. But there's another struggle. It's the struggle to be creative. And that's a hard struggle too. You know, I saw this book. It was about the life of Van Gogh. And the name of the book was something like My Struggle to Live, or My Struggle
I saw something on that
to make art. It had that kind of title, and I was thinking, wow, what a cool title. You know, this artist, the pain that he endured to make these paintings, the mockery that he had to endure. You know, people were basically saying, you know, you're a bum, get a regular job. What are you doing painting? You know, he wasn't painting for a royal court like some of the painters, you know, who had these, you know, really good positions as painters. He was just some guy on the street, you know, and I think he died penniless, actually. But he had this desire, be creative, and that's the desire that I have, and that Ned Meloni has, and Rhino has, and Alexx Panza has. It kind of supersedes all these other desires that we have as humans. And I don't know where or how or why this became part of me, but it's kind of like a struggle to live. It's like, you know, it's like I have to be creative.
If you don't, I always say on the show, like, we do so many different kind of interviews for different topics. And I always say creativity is the base of everything. Because if you have an accountant, that means you need an accountant. Then you better have a creative one. It's like, it's the same. If you have a lawyer for a reason, you better have a creative one.
Yes.
You know, creativity goes, and I always think of those people on the left, right, you know. I'm like, no, creativity knows how to go on both sides if you utilize it. It's like a muscle in our body, in our brains. But I think it is the muscle between our brain and our heart. And sometimes our loin. I'm sorry, I'm going to say that. Sorry, people. But it's true. Because music is sexual. No matter how you look at it. Fighting is sexual.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because it's the same emotion. There's a certain emotion. It's not the same, but a certain emotion. Blues is definitely there.
It's one of the primal urges that people have, you know, along with creativity and surviving and eating food and breathing.
And sex needs to be creative too, by the way. If you want to have sex, be creative. If you're wondering why things aren't working, put some music on and get some creativity going, period. Change the song. And that's the thing. Creativity is it. And when everybody looks at the way the world was formed, I'm not getting into religion or any of that, but creativity was involved. If you go out into nature and look at a leaf, and all those little veins and how the things work in a leaf, in an actual leaf of a big tree. Look at it. Go look at it.
Absolutely.
It will get you to that place.
Know,
man, we've I know, this is quite a conversation.
You're definitely speaking the truth, and it's really very refreshing, you know, that we can, you know, ostensibly be here to publicize an album, but at the same time talk about things that matter besides just, you know, plugging an album. I mean, and 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 I have to, I have to be aware that ostensibly is the reason that I'm here, but at the same time, we can't evade the larger subject. It's that 800-pound gorilla in the room, which is, why are we here? Why are we here on Earth? What are we doing? And so I'm really glad, in a way, that you are bringing up these subjects, and that you sense something in the music that makes you want to get into those
honestly,
subjects.
That is the point of why you're on the show.
Right.
John sends us over, and I go, I listen, and I'm like, okay, because is it going to be, like I said, the casino game sound? Is it going to be the haywire? And I
right.
mean that, because heavy metal is like, okay, here we go. It's going to be one of those where you can never hear anything other than the guitarist go off. Like Frank Zappa in his biography talked about like different musicians and their personalities, and lead guitarists were basically wankers in his if everybody goes read the book, you understand what I mean, right? And he nailed keyboardists, got the biggest rap, right? He nailed them the most. But I remember that. I mean, I was in a band, and the guitarist would be like, just this and this and this, and I'm like, you're in the corner playing to a wall at this point, instead of even understanding what is going on with this. You have to read. No, you don't. I'm not talking about you, obviously. Your music. Listening to this album, I went, oh yeah, they have melody, they have the rhythm, they have the dynamics. God, because if you don't have dynamics, our human bodies do not know how to bring it in. We don't understand. And if it's an ego-based guitarist going off for 10 years of a solo that doesn't have dynamics, and it's just you are wanking into a wall.
Right. Yeah.
I am.
And wanking,
you know what I mean, right?
Wanking is the best word for it, because that's really what it is.
Sorry, everybody.
That's the word, and too many guys do that, when they're playing, as opposed to making an earnest effort to communicate. And I mean, I try to communicate every time I play. I don't even really think of myself as a guitar player. I think of myself as someone who's just communicating via music. And in my case, it's a guitar. It could have been something else, but I'm just using the guitar to play these melodies that are in my head, and I want to get them out, and I want to make the audience hear and feel them and communicate with them. And that's really what it's about. I'm not looking for somebody in the audience to say, "Oh boy, that song got played really fast."
Listen to what a 4-piece band just put out. Like, I'm sitting there going, "This isn't a wanker." That is actually, and I'm sorry, everybody, I get to finally say it, but it's true. Because that is actually the, when you listen,
thank you so much
is this wanking or not? And it's not. It's not. So I can't believe I just said all that, but it's true. And it means a lot.
I appreciate you saying it. I really appreciate you saying that, because I think you really nailed it. And I wish the whole transcript of this will come out. I don't know how you do it. What do you do?
No, the whole thing airs. I'm sorry, we don't play games. We only edit something unless someone says something really bad, and then if they said something really bad, then we go, then we shouldn't air it. So we don't do that.
Exactly.
We're real. We're here. We are. It's.
Well, I'll be really happy to hear the whole thing, because when you talk and you do interviews and all that, you come upon some truisms that you might not normally even really come out with, but they come out with on the spur of the moment when you're engaged in earnest conversation with someone who has something to say as well as you do.
Mm. Conversation is key. It's something our country could learn, and the rest of the world too. It's so important, and it's also important to have conversations with people that don't agree with you, and conversations with people just in general. We, I think Nancy and I, traveling the country, traveling the world, have learned to just sit down and and have a meal Bond on what you can bond with. Maybe it is music, and a lot of times it is. And and again, I'm going to go back to this, and then we're going to close this up because we'll go on for hours, Jack. I know we will because we're good at this. But Souls of the Innocents coming out July 15th. But we're gonna close with the song Demons Behind Me. But I want to say this: heavy metal music is about a good anthem for the people. It is. It's like punk music, right? Everybody had a music of their era of what. Or maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was Christian music. Maybe it's gospel, like good gospel is some most. I hate to say the most badass music gospel is because it's like everybody's going to the core. So the same thing as heavy metal. Gospel and heavy metal are really the same thing. Now people are going to send me emails, but it's true. It is about going to the core. It is going to the core of the heart and soul and feel the rise up, whether it is about, you know what I mean? I don't want to get too into that, but it is about feeling it. You got to rise up.
I totally appreciate what you're saying, and we're definitely on the same page.
Yeah. So anyway, we're going to close out. Thank you so much, Jack Starr, for an amazing conversation. Please do come back for the other interesting show about aliens and connectivity, and we're having a crazy solstice. No, it's an equinox. Sorry, fall equinox show coming up with the musicians and tarot readers and all kinds of crazy stuff. So you should come for that.
That sounds wonderful.
You should come on that show.
Thank you for having me on. Thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it, and Big Blend Radio rocks. That's all I can say.
Thank you, and you do too. Everybody. Global Rock Records is where you can get the album, globalrockrecords.com. Keep up with Jack Starr and Burning Starr. Go to Jack Starr, Burning Starr on Facebook, and it's Jack Starr with 2 R's and Burning Starr with 2 R's. And the album comes out July 15th. You can normally pre-order, so check that out too. Souls of the Innocents is the album name, but we're going to close off with the song Demons Behind Me, because we all want to feel that. So take a listen to it. Thank you so much, Jack. You take care. Here it is, Demons Behind Me. Thank you, everyone, for joining us.